Kind of talking about the farm a little bit. You know, last time we talked quite a bit about kind of growing up and your families and different things, and we touched on the farm a bit, but I really wanted to kind of snapshot the farm in one nice picture a little bit. And so we talked last time about kind of the early years of the farm and your dad especially growing. What were the crops that he grew? What were the main ones?
Mostly grain and hay.
Okay, in grain as in corn, wheat and corn.
And barley.
Oh.
Barley and corn and
You grow oats?
some oats, not that much. Barley was kind of a big thing for a few years there. If it doesn't get rained on, it stays bright. That's the kind of the brewers like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. And so we talked about he farmed the piece around the farm, the 100 acres around the farm. And I think you talked about pulling your horse with the sod. What did you call that? Sod?
Clodbuster.
Clodbuster. Was that out here that you were talking about?
We drug corn.
Uh-huh.
Drag, yeah.
And so what was the ground that great grandpa would have farmed? Which pieces of land?
Well, just the Brian and Karen's place there, 140
Okay.
acres.
So how did
But that wasn't it. It was also the place down your place, right?
right?
Where
So I
else?
think total was 240.
Oh, okay. And how did great grandpa come into that land? Was that how did he come into that land?
Come into what?
The land. How did he acquire the land? Was that passed down to him from his father, or did he buy that, or did he rent it? How did he
purchase the land? Or?
Yeah.
I don't know. He just bought it.
Okay. And so that was land that he purchased and
Yes.
not given to him by his dad, or is that right?
He didn't rent it. He bought it.
Okay.
But did he? I think that would be interesting to know. But I can't. I'm already forgotten so much of what you told us last time. But your grandpa's name was. Your grandpa Roth's name was what? William. And he was a farmer.
I don't hear very good tonight. Well, he's all right. He'll be all right.
I'll be better. Your grandpa William was a farmer.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's all I know of.
And he farmed around here? Or did he just farm in?
Mainly, I guess, mainly the home place, which is the one on John Roth's place, top of the hill there,
Uh-huh.
Sunnyview.
So when your dad started to farm,
I don't know if he.
how do you afford to go buy ground? Because I don't know what year your dad started to farm, but like the depression hit in 29, 30 and stuff like that. And can you remember any of
I
that?
don't know. I
He would have
don't.
been farming.
I don't know how he managed to do it.
Okay.
He must have farmed for his dad with his dad for a couple of years. Maybe it didn't take that much to get a farm in those days.
I'm sure it didn't. Our farm 55, which our section, Dad farmed 160, half of it was my uncle's and half was mom and dad's. The 80 acres, 5-bedroom house, a big chicken house, a big barn, hay barn, milking barn, 2 hog houses, 2 big machine sheds, sold for $15,000.
Wow. And that was in when?
55, 56.
Wow.
But everything else was relative.
Right, but
Sure.
I'm saying, way back then, when his dad,
Right.
and you're right, it was relative, the money they would earn would be less too.
Right. But when did like the land claim, you know, when people were able to, were given land or got claims, I don't know how.
That was in 18, because my grandpa and grandma claimed land up towards Silver Creek Falls. And that was in 1898 through 1904, I think.
So that's why they came over from Kansas. From Whitewater, Kansas is where your family, your parents came from. After, that was their quick stop from Germany to Kansas, then to Oregon, correct?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And so, and based off of, you said your dad was born in like, do you remember the year your dad was born?
Anything about Quickland?
I've not looked in.
Your dad was born in 01 or 02, is that right?
Oh, I can't hear.
I'm sorry.
How come? Wonder if you move over just a little bit or something. Yeah.
So your dad was born in what year?
Oh, 1900,
Okay. And was he born in Kansas or was he born in Oregon?
Oregon.
He was. But you thought that last time a couple of his older brothers were born in Germany, correct?
Or
Is that-
Kansas.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
All I remember is Grandpa coming from Germany, but it's Switzerland. But,
Switzerland.
I don't know.
Okay.
How his family started here.
And so you started farming with your dad when you got back from the war, is that correct? From your time in the military?
Yeah.
Which was
53.
53.
Well, no. Got out of the service in 55.
Okay. And your dad passed away in 63 or 64, a couple years after mom was born. How did that transition of you being the farmer, you know, taking that over from your dad, his passing, splitting up the inheritance with Shirley, how did that all happen?
Well, when I came home from the service, I just started farming with Dad, and it was just pretty much part of the farm when I started in them, which was I probably started farming in 53, 55 I got out of the service, so uh, 58, so I was pretty well into it.
Uh-huh. When did you and Grandma get married? What year?
I think it was 1918, would that be right?
No.
1959.
Was it?
1959, yeah.
No, who?
You and Graham,
Oh.
you and my mom, you and Carolyn.
Oh, I thought you said.
Your
my
parents.
Folks.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And so,
Right either.
so 59, you guys got married and you moved to the farmhouse here, right? What pieces of land were you guys farming at that time, you and your dad?
Well, pretty the home place there, and then this place over here, which I think he bought 40 acres or so of the 240. He must have had close to 200 acres over here and 117 over there.
Oh, okay. And so I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see this very well, but I wanted to talk through I kind of just mapped out the farm a little bit today.
Okay.
So you can see here's the farmhouse. You know, here's 81st, here's the Nofziger piece. You know, you kind of see it. So when you're talking about the stuff that he farmed,
It's all on this side of the road.
so it's the piece that runs to Howell Prairie, the home place, and that triangle piece, right?
Right.
And that's the piece that you said that your dad was grubbing out over the winters. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What other pieces around here had timber on it? Do you remember?
Well, I just remember the Hatterberg place over here on that side of about, I don't know, 50 acres of timber or something over there.
And which one's?
That they grubbed off
Where's that? Which one's the Hatterberg place again?
just across the road here.
Oh, what we call end of the road, just right across the street.
Mhm.
That's the Hatterberg
Yeah.
place. Okay.
Had his John's barn on it, and I mean, I remember when he built the barn on there. It was after we were farming for a while that he built that.
Which part are you talking about?
Are you talking about Schmidtgall? John Schmidtgall?
Uh-huh.
And so that Schmidtgall place is the old Hatterberg place. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And this land over here was across the street was
Part of
all
Hatterberg.
timbered, had woods on it.
And this was part of the Hatterberg place too, right, Jerry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Both sides of the.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to come and pick up walnuts? Wasn't that like right here at Schmidt-Gall's place, or where was that? You used to take us out on Saturday mornings and pick up filberts or walnuts or something.
Well, Filbert Orchard was over there, right?
Around
Over
our house.
where?
At your place.
Okay.
To the north.
Okay.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Well, just 5 acres or something, 6 acres.
Was that what you guys would farm that? Or was that before you were farming that piece?
No.
And it was just,
No, I farmed.
oh, I didn't realize that there were we had hazelnuts. Interesting.
For a few years. I didn't never like them.
Oh, really?
I did like the pruning and all that stuff.
Huh.
That I haven't probably. Oh, wow. Well, I might have had them 7 or 8 years. I don't know.
Okay. So,
But it was an old orchard, wasn't it? Or was it, did you plant the orchard? No, it must have been an old orchard.
Yeah, wasn't terribly old, but it was.
Okay.
It was a pretty good orchard, really.
and so,
I think I heard heard it with the when we got the rototiller, first rototillers come in. And then I started using the rototiller in the nuts and getting too close to the trees and chopping
Is that right?
the roots off, I guess.
Oops, have to pull them out.
You do that on purpose, Jerry? Did you get rid of them?
Silent death wish.
Yeah.
When
I don't think I did them any good. I just remember that.
when would have that been? When you got your first tiller?
Man, that's hard.
Yeah, I know.
55 or, well, I know I didn't get out of the service till 55, so. Probably 58.
Interesting. So your dad was still around, and that was a piece of equipment that you guys purchased
I
together.
purchased the tiller, that was after I was farming on my own one. So
Oh,
that
okay.
would've been a little bit
That would have
later.
been in the 60s. Yeah.
Uh huh.
'Cause I remember picking up filberts.
Uh huh.
I was probably 8 or 10.
Oh, okay.
Um,
What were you? I was gonna ask, were you guys still farming with horses? But you wouldn't have been farming with horses once you got back from service.
Yeah.
Dad still had a team of horses probably and no, he probably got done farming with horses in about while I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
What? Okay, so here on this map, kind of going back to it, you were farming here with your dad. When did you start farming these other
Renting.
pieces?
Yeah, it was all rent.
It was all rented.
And then the Nofziger place was my brother-in-law's place.
Right.
Yeah. And he farmed, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, decided to go back to school.
That's Ed, right?
And then I rented, then Dad or I rented it, and farmed out at that time.
Tell me about the Nofzigers. I don't know much about their family. So I'm assuming the dad, Ed's father, was a farmer. Is that right?
My dad, what?
No, sorry, Ed's farmer, Ed Nofziger's father.
Uncle Eddie, yeah.
Edgar.
Yeah, who was his father was a farmer.
Uh-huh.
What was the relationship like with them? Did you guys interact much with them or farm together at all, or not
We
really?
never farmed together much that I know of, but we just had a good relationship though. They were good friends. Willie Nofziger was he always had a few cows and a bull or two down there.
Okay.
He got broken up by a bull, broken ribs and stuff.
No way.
Probably more than once. Yeah. And Edgar was the oldest, and then they had twin girls, and then Ralph Nofziger, and that was their family, 4 of them.
I assume their parents, Willie and Grandma Knopfsiger, were older than your parents, just
Yeah.
because Edgar was quite a bit
They
older than you.
always seemed old to me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Edgar, how much older was Uncle Eddie than Aunt Shirley? At least 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, I had heard that before. Okay, so then the next piece here, I'm just trying to kind of connect
Okay.
land with people and kind of hear some different stories there. You know, Ross's place, Dan and Pearl, when did you guys start farming that? Or was that with your dad, or would have that been later that you started renting that piece?
Still with my dad, I guess. I think coming back from the army, that's about the time that I started renting that place, I think.
So were the Rosses living there at that time? I mean,
Yes.
I don't know when Annie Pearl
Dan.
and Dan moved in there, but they've been there since you were born, is that?
That was an old Durban place, and I think it always had a sign on the barn 1900.
Oh, really?
Did Dan ever farm?
And yes,
Oh, he did?
He did? I didn't know that.
such as a,
Gentleman.
yeah.
He was an accountant,
Mhm.
wasn't he?
Yeah,
What do you mean by gentleman farmer? Kind of just a weekend type thing?
yeah. After get home from work, like farm.
Huh?
And once he decided to rent, I don't.
Oh, I don't need times or years. I've got a general idea of it. That's fine.
Can you remember how much money you paid per acre to rent back then?
$30, 30 something.
No way. Wow. Tell me about Dan and Annie.
Oh, you know what we did for rent though a lot was shares.
Crop share.
We did I know with the Knopfsigers we did it, when we did rent, what we did rent was a third.
Oh,
They
wow.
did a third of the crop.
You had to pay all the expenses and they got a third of the crop?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That seems like a pretty good deal for the owner.
Well, yeah, but it was also wasn't too bad for us because it allowed us to. I
Huh.
don't know if it was a good deal or not.
Yeah. Tell me about Dan and Annie Pearl. What? Dan was an accountant. Pearl stayed at home with the kids. Is that right?
Yeah.
And what was your guys' relationship like with them?
Oh, they were always good friends. Pretty close friends.
Would you spend meals with them frequently?
No, actually not. I don't know if we ever had a meal with them,
Okay.
but, yeah, they were just neighbors across the road and they always respected us. They always respected Dad for his spiritual help, and Dan never accepted the Lord till later in life.
Oh.
I think that's the way it went.
So they never went to church?
They went to Pratt,
Well, they did. Yeah.
Pearl did for, I think, before Dan ever started going.
my recollection, I was such a small kid. I knew Dan a little bit, and I always associated Dan, maybe even more than Annie Pearl, with smelling like smoke, because they smoked quite a bit. And I just don't have that many memories of Dan other than his painting studio and stuff like
That
that.
was
That was
Andy
Andy.
Pearl.
Oh, Annie Pearl was the painter. I always thought Dan was. Interesting. But my recollection of Annie Pearl was just kind of sweetest lady who always had a bowl of candy sitting on her countertop, who always
Very,
was
effusive, very.
very much excited to see us. I remember their bulldog,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
their bulldog,
Max.
Max the bulldog.
They had several bulldogs, and I couldn't tell you their names.
Yeah.
But our dog Ripple ate over at their house more than at our house, it seemed like. Didn't that?
They
What?
what?
Our dog Ripple,
Oh,
the
yeah.
collie,
Oh,
he was
Ripple.
always over there.
Oh,
We
she
were
was-
always going to fish him back.
Huh.
And you were always looking for me over there.
Oh, really? You
Uh-huh.
spent a lot of time
After
over there.
dinner. I'd wander over there.
After dinner, you would wander.
Yeah,
over.
because they would be like sitting out on their patio. I mean, in the summertime.
Well, he could sit out in the yard and watch both places.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, you guys didn't go on vacation very often, but I remember one time spending a week
Oh,
over
wow.
there.
Grandma and Grandpa were out on vacation.
Right. Doled all of us kids out.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Okay, so then moving on to the next plot of land here, I remember it early as Fran's. Fran lived there, but when did you start farming?
Halversons
Oh.
lived there before that.
What's that?
The Halversons lived there.
Oh, the
before
Halversons. I've heard that
that.
name.
But he farmed.
He farmed this place that
He
he
was-
only had what, 35, 40 acres there.
Huh.
Walter?
And so-
Was his name Walter?
Uh-huh.
Oh, he
Walter
was
Halverson.
just the best.
Why?
So
What-
was she.
Tell me, and they lived in the house that Fran ended up living in.
Right.
Okay.
And then they built a new house there.
Oh, okay. So the house that Fran lived in was the newer
new
house.
I guess.
Okay. And they farmed the same crops as everybody else, your grains and your wheat and your corn and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just the general community of farmers, did you ever feel like it was competitive? Did you ever feel like there were people you kind of watched out for, or how much helping out with each other did you guys do, especially in maybe those earlier days with your dad and before that?
Well, whenever they needed help, I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
That wasn't all that often, not too often.
So on Heron, there's that row of houses. On 81st, there's Arnie and there was the Marcos and the Zanders. How did all those get there? Because that used to be all farm ground, right? Or not?
That was Roy Richmond place, and he,
Was he a farmer?
yes, and he was on the planning commission, and he saw that housing law coming in. So before it got in, he sold sold some acreage off of it.
Before, that was in
Wow.
the early 60s or late
And
50s, they did the zoning for farm ground and what you could
Okay.
build on and what you couldn't build on, I bet. And so you're saying that's when he, well, I don't know what year it would have been, 62-ish or something
I
maybe?
think it would have been before that, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
While
okay.
I was in high school, I guess.
So he was on the commission, he was on the planning commission, and they were talking about starting to create zoning areas where people could build or not build, and he moved on it beforehand, kind of, and,
That
because
was
it's
kinda-
pretty, that's pretty unique, you don't see that
Mhm.
out around here very
No.
much.
And then up here, and that was
Yeah.
all empty too, and that got sold. I don't
And that
know.
was him too?
Huh?
That was him also?
No.
Oh, that was somebody else.
How did that go over in the community? Was that something that everybody kind of didn't worry about, or was that a little bit of frustration
There was
over
a little
that?
bit of talk, yeah, but they just kind of took it, I guess.
Mhm.
Everybody.
I vaguely remember somebody talking about, was it, they were trying to put a dump out here someplace? A dump?
Oh,
You remember?
yeah, they were trying to find a place to put the dump.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Where was that, Jerry? Was that off of Howell
Yeah.
Prairie? Or where was that? What?
I don't know where it was gonna be. It was. All I know is I went to there, kept pretty close tab on it, and went to the planning meetings and protested out in the country and all that.
How close to that being a thing did it get? Did it get pretty close to happening? Or